Hello everybody, my name is Josh Vogel. I want to make a video of a technique that I use a lot to help me, like when I'm sick like I am now. You can tell my voice is screwed up, so um, obviously I'm not feeling that great. Um, but I still want to train. I mean, I'm at work, not at work, but I'm at Balance Studios where I work, and and all my friends are out there rolling right now, and I want to be able to train, but I don't want to get anybody, um, I don't want to get anybody sick. So one of the things that I do when I'm sick or injured or otherwise unable to get on the mat and roll with people is I use visualization, but I also try and talk myself through the visualization. So for example, I'll go through a match in my head, and when I verbalize it, I try and keep it going steady. Like, I try not to take breaks and I try not to pause. The goal is to make my thinking sharper so that when I go through the moves in my head, it's an unbroken stream of techniques and sensations, rather than like armbar, triangle, day posture up, out of the triangle. Like, I try to keep it more like I pull guard on my opponent, my right hand goes right into his collar, into his right collar. I try and get as far as I can into the tag, and then my left hand slips, and I try and finish the X choke, and he presses my elbows together, weaves his hand through, grabs the top of his head, so I immediately collar drag and start taking the back. As I'm driving my hips into his armpit to get up so that I can go belly down to take the back, he starts driving back into me, which means that I have to grab his belt, grab his sleeve, post my left foot on the mat, and then kick up so that I roll him over, which results in me being in a technical mount, which makes him start to use his left elbow to try and escape from my right foot. As he's tripping his hips back, I have to drop my right knee to the mat and windshield wiper my leg over top of his hips, which puts me on top of side mount briefly, but then he rolls to his knees, which leaves space by his left hip for me to slip my left hook into his thigh, which means that I'm going to go for the seatbelt grip next, and immediately start attacking his collar to go for the choke. I start to put my right foot in to get the hook so that I can get my points, but he uses his right hand to push my foot out, so I take my right hand and push his hand down, step over, curling my toes, driving my heel into his ribs to trap his arm so that he cannot get his arm out. I'm still attacking the neck, but I make a mistake with my left leg and lose a little bit of pressure, so he starts scooting his hips out to the side to elbow escape and get his back flat to the mat, which means that I have to start stepping over to the mount, but then he catches my right leg in a half guard position. He swims his right arm underneath my left leg, which puts him in deep half guard, so the first thing I have to do is to get the underhook on his left arm, and then I catch close to the elbow and try and drop my forearm down and keep this row really tight so he can't circle his left arm out. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to start trying to get my hips over top of his head so that I can, when he starts to pull his elbow out, I have to start getting to almost like a back step position. And then the first thing that he's going to do is take his right arm and try and come up across my neck or across my body and try and bridge and roll me onto my back, which he manages to do because I leaned too far back. So now I'm on my back, and then the first thing I have to do here is swim my left arm underneath to get an underhook. So now I'm on bottom of half guard with an underhook, and I'm going to grab underneath his hip bone rather than underneath his back. I want to get the hip bone so that I can get the single leg, and then my right arm swims underneath. I start using my left leg to pull his right heel out and straighten his leg so that I can cross my ankles and start bridging for the knee bar. But then he manages to drop his knee down to the mat and start to cut pass out of that. I still have the underhook, so I quickly come to my knees, grab his left knee, drive up, and start pulling him onto his side, almost like the old school Eddie Bravo style sweep. And then as soon as he starts to fall onto his left hip, I'm already windshield wipering my right leg over top to end up on top of side mount so that I don't get trapped in half guard. And then once I'm on top of side mount, I'm looking for his left arm so that I can armbar it, but he starts posting on my neck. When I feel the pressure on my neck, I have to quickly pop his elbow, drop my head down, and then my left arm swims over top. I drive my hips up, drive my shoulder pressure down, and I start walking north-south around, trying to push him onto his right side so that his left shoulder is off the mat, and then I catch into a Kimura grip, pinch my elbows tight, jump both legs up. My left knee is across his ribs, my right leg is over his head, and I sit back for the armbar. He starts defending the armbar by grabbing his hands together into an S grip or a gable grip. Cough. When I feel that, I swim my right arm close to his wrist, to his left wrist. I'm going to use my left hand to push his elbow. I keep my knees pinched real tight so he doesn't rip his elbow to the mat. And then I'm going to slip my hands through, grab, drop my left elbow, and then start breaking his grip free. As soon as I feel his grip break free, I start to sit back for the arm lock. I drive my hips forward, I pinch my knees, and I hip up and finish the armbar. He taps, I let go before there's any injury. So that's an example of what I'm talking about. You can get lost in that very easily, and I mean 5 minutes just went by and I didn't even notice it. The value of that exercise for me is that it, like I said, it helps keep my thinking sharp when I'm off the mat and I can't train. It helps me think of my next move quickly, so I go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing to the next thing, from position to position to position. It also helps me highlight the very specific feelings and sensations that I go through when I actually do those positions in real life. You know, for example, after I do that back step pass and he bridges up and puts me on my back, lined up on bottom of half guard, that sense of urgency for me to drop my elbow to my ribs and swim for the underhook right away and then immediately get on my side. You'll notice that when I did that earlier, when I was going through the technique in my head, I went like this for a second, which is one of the mistakes that I make when I'm rolling. So I can sort of pinpoint that and file that away for later, so when I actually do drill the technique, I get used to pinching my elbow down and swimming for the underhook instead of going like this, which means that somebody traps my arm and then they get the underhook and control me. I don't know, that looks stupid when I do that, but you guys get what I'm saying. Anyway, hopefully you can hear this because my voice is pretty raw. I'm going to post this on my blog. My blog is www.joshvogelart.blogspot.com. JoshVogelart, like art, .blogspot.com. Check it out. I write stuff there sometimes when I'm motivated to. And yeah, check it out. Thank you.